However, like in any organization, any institution, there are a few people within that place that, for reasons best known to themselves, are clearly trying their very best to engineer policy in a way that will affect the fortunes of our candidates and of our party. And I think that's probably what Nasir El-Rufai was trying to say. Some of them are in the villa, others are heading institutions that are under the government, that were never part of PDP anyway, and that's always the problem. When you have a technocrat, where you really don't know where his heart lies, running major institutions, for example, like Central Bank and so on and so forth. My own view, and I've said this for quite some time, that there is some kind of conspiracy going on. You see, the problem is this: they know that when we go to the field later on this month, Asiwaju is going to win this election hands down. We have 22 governors with us, all solidly with us. We have 5 that are likely to support us in the presidential election, making 28. They only have 8. And of course, the third party and the fourth party have absolutely nothing. So we're very confident as we go into the field, and our candidate is making waves everywhere. So the only way he can be stopped now is through the activities of blacklegs, turncoats, backstabbers, and liars, and people that want to undermine from all over the place, create policies that are clearly unacceptable for this time, clearly uncomfortable with the people, and will cause resentment in the land for everybody, not just against the ruling party, but against virtually every politician. And I think there's another agenda in that as well, which I'll come to later.
So let's clarify this, because when you ask the question about this, you might, is it right to call them fifth columnists?
Yes, certainly.
I mean, the question is, are they members of your party?
It is not every person that is working in the villa that is a member of the APC. I've been in government before. They may be, they may not be. And I, can assure you that even if they are, they have their own inclinations, they have their own motivations,
what
they have
what
their
is
own
their
reasons.
agenda?
Well, perhaps you should put it to them. But what I'm trying to tell you
is
because
we're speaking to you.
Their agenda is certainly not to do the best for Nigeria, to do the best for the APC, to do the best for President Buhari, or to do the best for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is their agenda. Now, it could be a number of issues. Maybe, for example, Nasser cited one example of some of them felt that their candidate didn't emerge during the presidential primaries. That's possible. There are others that simply have a situation whereby they just don't want Asiwaju to be president. There are some people like that. It's a personal choice that people make. And when you're in a position of power, only God knows your heart. Only God knows what you're thinking. Just like Shakespeare said, it's a very difficult thing to know. It's a difficult thing to see the mind's construction in the face. You don't know what people think. Well, what you do know is this. If you're in government, or if you're in a party together, there ought to be a collective interest. 95 to 99% of the APC are one family, moving in one direction, solidly behind one candidate, praying and hoping that he will win. And we are working extremely hard. Some of us sleep, just a few hours a night. 18 hours a day we work now. I've just come back from Lagos after 6 days of resting because we work very hard. Festus Kayamo, Dele Alake, Bayo Onanuga, all of us, and in all the other directorates, we work extremely hard. And our candidate is out there in the field, going all over the country every day with governors and all kinds of people moving with him. So all these distractions for us is very disturbing, because we are working and people are plotting night and day in order to create obstacles in our path to ensure this transition does not go smooth.
What is the end goal of these people? Are they working for another candidate?
Well, this, like I said, I guess it varies. My own view, and this is just my view, is that some are, but I don't see how that's going to go very well, given the fact that the opposition are really so weak when it comes to, what's going on the ground.
Which candidate could they have been working for?
I'm saying that some of them may be working for those that I consider to be very weak, like Atiku. I don't think he's a strong candidate, like I've said before. But I don't even think that's the major issue. My own view is that there is an attempt, in my view, and this is just my personal opinion, to create chaos in this country for everybody and to pave the way for something completely different. This is what I see going on. And I must tell you that I find questionable the policies of the governor of the central bank as at today. I don't question the policy itself, I question the timing of the policy. People are suffering, people are going through hell, people can hardly achieve anything. And I knew as far back as Christmas that this is what they were going to do. Let me put this to you. How would you feel, for example, if in a week's time, people still can't get cash from the banks. What effect do you think that will have on the people of this country? How do you think it will make them feel? Those in the rural areas and so on and so forth. Yes, it's a policy. We need a policy, a cashless policy, ultimately. But why is it being introduced at this critical time? It will lead to nothing but suffering, resentment, hatred of not just the ruling party. And this is why those on the other side don't get it, but of every single member of the ruling class. And you're trying to provoke an uprising in this country to ensure that everything scatters and this transition does not go anywhere. That's what I think is going on. And I'm sitting on your program today pointedly accusing the governor of central bank of having a hidden agenda. I've never known of a governor of central bank that will be outside the country, challenge the security agencies, come back ready to be arrested, and he's being guarded by soldiers. Who posted the soldiers there, and how come he has that kind of power? I've never known a governor of central bank who was summoned to come to the House of Reps how many times until the time, and he refused to go until the time they threatened him with arrest, and he quickly went there and made a few concessions and said, okay, I'll postpone for a few days, I'll postpone to the 17th. Even with that postponement, it doesn't mean anything. Nigerians are suffering. They're suffering today, and they will continue to suffer throughout this month. And I say it again, mark my words, it will be very difficult for people to get new notes until after the election because there's a hidden agenda as far as I'm concerned. They'll tell you, oh, the commercial banks are not releasing notes. It's not it's a lie. The truth of the matter is that they will not release those notes to the commercial banks because there's a hidden agenda. And there's so much more to this. That's just one front. There are other fronts in which they're fighting democracy and fighting us all. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not for any political party. It is simply for those that are interested in having an ING in this country and pushing us all to one side. And that, I think, is the greater enemy. Our enemies are not the enemies are those who don't want democracy.
Yeah, is there a reason why some of the complaints, especially by the political elites, are coming from your party?
Complaints about what?
About the CBN policy.
Well, maybe because we're a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more discerning. Because let me tell you this, any politician, or indeed any human being that does not have empathy for what people are going through. You've seen what's going on at the banks even today. You've seen people fighting ATM machines. You've seen a situation where overnight somebody will say you can only get 5,000 naira from your ATM card. Go to the rural areas, how people are starting. We get calls all the time. There's no money. Markets are closing.
Other than that, I mean, is this reason for the part? So I'd like to show you.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to be an APC member to sympathize with somebody that's going through that nightmare and that hell. It's hell for these people.
The opposition think that there is an ulterior motive.
The opposition have their own ways
and
of
so
thinking.
This, I mean, what their thoughts are that there's a reason why members of your party or leaders in your party voiced out as soon as the SCBN says he's mopping out the old notes out of circulation, because part of the plans of the CBN is to curb the issue of vote buying.
Oh, really? And well, first of all, we don't do that, and we don't need to do that. We never needed to do that. But they don't buy votes as well. If that's the issue, we have no problem. We have no problem if that was all there was to it. But it's the consequences of this ridiculous policy at this time you have to think about. It's not about who will win in this election now.
Okay, just a moment, Chief Fanikade. I'd like you to respond to this statement coming from the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who in the headline to the statement released today, he said that he was telling the governor of the CBN not to succumb to blackmail. And I read some portions of the statement. He says that the anti-democratic elements who are pretending to be Democrats are the ones ganging up against the CBN because of the currency redesign and the cashless regime it seeks to enthrone.
Okay, fine.
That's portion of the statement coming from Atiku Abubakar.
May I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you what I have to say about that. Nobody in the history of Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, has indulged in vote buying and more corruption when it comes to this kind of thing than Atiku Abubakar at every election he's ever run. That's number one. Number two, the reason he's saying that, and I'll tell you this for free on national TV, is because they know what they're planning to do themselves. They know about the special app that they have. They know about the number of people on that app that they've already collated, so they can be sending credit to them on the app. So when they don't have cash, they'll say, well, Atiku is sending you 10,000 naira throughout the election period. They have a plan for this. They know know what they want to do. And what we are saying is this: they should stop pretending not to be the biggest cheats and liars and thieves in the history of Nigeria. They are not the people to moralize about this. We are not talking about issue of votes now. We're talking about the suffering of the people, what people are going through, the pain they're feeling, and the insensitivity of the CBN governor, and the insensitivity of Atiku and his party and all those around him. For him to say that nobody should succumb to blackmail, is it because his own children will have food throughout this month, whether there's cash in the streets or not? Go to the rural areas, go to the poor places. In some parts of this country, there are no banks. There's nothing there. Most of Nigerian people do not have bank accounts. Are they supposed to open one overnight? Highly insensitive comment to me. So people should suffer simply because you have an app, and that app you're going to be sending people money and say, hey, have credit, you can cash the money later. Their plan, and they're working with CBN, is to ensure that no money comes out at all in this country up until the end of March, up until the end of February. That's their plan. But you know something, whether they do it or they do not do it, APC will win, Asiwaju will win, not just win, will win hands down, and will flog them and defeat them to the cleaners. Be rest assured of that.
What I mean, this we're hearing about the loss of trust and faith in the north, from the northern elites or the northern voting bloc.
Who told you that?
I mean, this when I ask you questions,
sure.
you know that I.
Sure.
I mean,
okay, but yes.
The question is,
yes.
What about that? I mean,
let me
what
tell you.
What has become the fate of your candidate?
Let me tell you this. I'm sorry to say this to you. It is a lie from the pit of hell. Anybody that tells you that the northern ruling class, or whatever you call them, are against Asiwaju completely has misled you. Look, let's go back to it. I am telling you today that the overwhelming majority of governors in this country, predominantly from the north, every single APC governor from the north is solidly with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There may be some northern elites that are against him, just as there are some northern elites that are against Atiku Abubakar, that have sworn they'll never allow him to win. And there are some southern elites against Abubakar as well, and some southern elites against Asiwaju. The point is, let's forget north-south now. Let's go to the field as one nation. We have support of the 22 governors plus 25. We have the support of the people. The only way they can try to defeat us is by derailing us, by putting all these crazy contraptions in the pathway. If it's not fuel queues, if it's not get rid of the cash so that everybody's upset with the APC government, if it's not that, one thing or the other, all these little games, that's what they're trying to do, because they know that in a free and fair fight, they can't win. But I put it to you again, whether or not they put all these obstacles in our path, we are going to win this election hands down. You know why? Because our time has come. Asiwaju's time has come, and nothing can stop it.
So let me ask you, the campaign of your candidate,
yes,
it does look like recently he's been attacking the policies of the APC government. And in Ogun State, he said a few things about the policy, the issue of fuel queues that we're seeing, the CBN policies, and the state of the economy.
Yes.
And the campaign council had come out after that to say, no, that is not what the candidate meant. But he doubled down on that in Akwa Ibom and said that he attacked the policies of the government of the day, saying, how did they meet how much was the dollar exchange rate when they came into office, and how much is it now?
You see,
saying saying that there are confusions in the handling of the naira and the state of the economy.
Okay.
The government of the APC is in power over the last 7 or 8 years. The question is, this discordant tune coming from within your party, can you tell Nigerians the truth tonight? Because just remember, this is no spin zone.
Right.
This is the moment where Nigerians need the truth. What is going on when the candidate of your party is attacking the policy of your party?
Let me put this to you in a very simple way, okay? There is no government that is in power, whether it's your party or somebody else's party, that is infallible, that is perfect. Every government makes good choices and makes bad choices, some more than others. This particular government, in my view, has made a lot of good decisions and has done a lot of good things, but that does not make them infallible. And the suggestion that nothing should be criticized or nothing should be looked at once again or perhaps rejigged or so on and so forth does not make sense in politics. In any transition process, in any situation where one party is about to transit with a different candidate, there are bound to be changes. Ours is one commitment, that is to build on the foundation, the great foundation that President Muhammadu Buhari has built. We're not going to criticize that foundation. And if any criticism was made inadvertently, that is regrettable. But we must build on that foundation. But for you to think that people will come up and say everything has been perfect simply because we're in the same party, I think, and I'm speaking for myself now, I think that that would be most incredulous and absurd. Of course there are challenges in this country. Of course we have issues. Of course we haven't done 100%. But nobody asked us for 100%. So at least this government, in my view, has done at least 75, 80%. It's for this new administration that's coming in, on the back of this government, to build on that and right the little that we got wrong. And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Is your candidate campaigning on the achievement of the Buhari administration?
The candidate is certainly standing on many of those noble achievements, infrastructural development and so on and so forth, and so many other wonderful things that the president has done, the government has done. Sure, very proud of that. But there are other areas in which we can still improve and get, and we shouldn't shy away from saying that.
And so I'm asking the question again, Chief Anika.
Yes.
And I dare say again that this is no spin zone. This is where Nigerians...
You know I don't spin.
No, because it's in the nature of politicians.
I'm one of those that's too blunt to be a real politician. You know that. So I don't spin.
The question here is that you would defend your party, you would defend your candidate, and well, you are telling Nigerians the reason why they should vote for your candidate.
Absolutely.
But the question is that in the process of doing that, you might say very good things about your party. The question is the worry that your candidate continuously speak against the works and the activities of your government.
Well, I contest that.
What do you think is going on?
99% of the time, our candidate speaks well of this administration, eulogizes our president, confirms the fact that he's built a magnificent foundation, which he has, and is committed to building on that foundation. Where changes have to be made, and this is the difference here. We're not in 2019 now. We're in 2023. He will not shy away. And I certainly wouldn't expect him to shy away from telling you or our other nation, listen, we've done well, but this is where I do things rather differently. That is what being a presidential candidate is all about. The incoming administration will be a Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. It will not be a Muhammadu Buhari administration, but it will be an Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. And the Nigerian people have a right to know that some of the things he's going to do is remove the oil subsidy. He's going to ensure that we have credits for everybody in this country to be able to go to school and so on and so forth, credit for education and so on and so forth, and for business. He's going to ensure that so many things are different, so many things are built upon on the legacy and on the foundation of Buhari. That does not translate to criticism. That translates into continuity with improvement, and that's what he's trying to say.
I don't know why that doesn't sit well, because I'm talking about what you're saying does not align in totally with what your candidate's saying. If you're saying that he's building on it, but the question is that it directly attacked the performance of this government. So what do you then tell Nigerians?
He directly attacked the performance of this government. Just a moment,
yes. Tinubu will be his face will be directly on the logo of your party, the APC, on the ballot. Right. That means you are preaching the APC to the voters. Now, Tinubu has just
I know you normally ask the question, but let me just ask you this question.
Let me land on. If I land on my question,
something's evidently wrong.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to
So Nigerians should know that there are failures in this government.
Listen, this government or any other government, even Obasanjo's government, was never infallible. You want me to put it like this? Everything President Buhari has ever done has been fantastic and wonderful. Then you know I'm lying. Simply because we know there are issues here and there for every government. But the majority of things he has done have been wonderful. He has done exceptionally well. Now, the things that have not gone so well, are we to say that everything is okay? Would you vote for us if we said that? Listen, this game is about truth. This game is about reality. And this game is about saying, listen, this is our record, take it or leave it. Where we got it wrong, we will improve on it. Where we didn't get it wrong, we'll continue to build on it.
And so you're telling Nigerians that your party has failed,
I'm
but
not
they should
saying that.
still vote your party?
I'm telling you, not that they have failed. I'm telling you that they are not fallible. They're not infallible. There's a big difference. In other words, mistakes can be made here and there. President Buhari is a human being, and he has not failed. He has done exceptionally well. But where things can be improved on,
what would you refer to as
we
mistakes?
will improve on it.
What would you refer to as?
Well, you tell me. You made
no. Is your candidate?
You made references
just
to certain things that our candidate said.
Your candidate had talked about the fair queues. Is that a mistake? For over 8 months, people have been queued.
Let me take you up on that one. In my view, you must understand that these are artificially created problems for the president. It's not the president that is responsible for that. There are technocrats and people working under him that are mismanaging the situation, just like central bank. It's not the president's fault. He's being presented with a picture. This is the right thing to do. This is what we must do, sir. He'll say, okay, I approve it.
And we want Nigerians to believe that.
But that's a fact. That's the way government works. I've been in government. Okay? Now, the consequences of that are self-evident. When it doesn't go well, policy changes, like it did the other day. This same Emefiele was telling us all just a few days ago that he would never change the date. The deadline is set. But people got to him when they saw the implications was, okay, I'll now extend it to the 17th. That is how government works. So I do expect people to believe that. You know why? Because it's the truth. That is life. That is government.
Let's take a breather, Chief Anikari. Right. Governor Nasir El-Rufai did pointed out that early in the morning on China's television that some of these actions are possible that can raise possible anger of the people against your government, and that is detrimental to the chances of your candidate Bola Tinubu at the election. We'll look at that. The anger of Nigerians, is it growing? What about the temperature of Nigerians when they come to the price of food, the commodities in the market, the few queues that are experienced, the queues that are experiencing at the ATM, and all of that? How will it affect the candidate's choice? We'll talk about that in our final moment with you on the program.